Bringing it back local for our last Q&A, we've got members of the Big Sky Resort Area Tax District. We've got Kevin Germain, who's the chair of the Big Sky Resort Tax Board, and Danny Bierschwale, the executive director. So we'll be fielding questions to both them and appreciate them kind of rounding out our Q&A here. So I'll start out with the first questions. What are some current projects that Resort Tax Board is working on in regards to this COVID situation?
Great, Eric. Really appreciate you convening this group tonight. It's been educational to listen in, and I'm happy to be a participant. Real quickly, I would love to give a big shout out to the Resort Tax Board. We have an all-volunteer board that has really, in my opinion, risen to the occasion and been working a lot of hours on this. You have Sarah Black, Buzz Davis, Steve Johnson, and Sierra Wolf. So really thanks to our volunteer board. And even bigger thanks out to our staff. You're going to hear in a minute from Danny Bierschwale. Danny has been working 7 days a week nonstop on this for about 3 weeks. We got Jenny Mescat, Kristen Drain, Sarah Huger, and just thankfully on loan to us from Outlaw, Mike Summerby helping us on communication. So there's a great team effort going on behind the scenes. Your question about what's Resort Tax Board doing in response to COVID-19? You know, the first thing as a board, we needed to look after the safety of our team. So obviously we had a very easy transition to online and closing the office from a public standpoint. So I really wanted to take care of our team. Then we quickly transitioned to, you know, what tools does the Resort Tax Board have to help the Big Sky community during the COVID-19 pandemic? And I'd say it falls into two buckets. The first is financially, and the second is coordination and communication. I'll talk about what we've been doing on the financial end, and Danny will talk a little bit on the coordination and communication. So on Saturday the 14th, we got a hold of our legal counsel. Danny and I had a long day with her on Saturday to figure out what could the Resort Tax Board legally do. I think everybody in this community is used to the typical procedure that every prior Resort Tax Board has done, which they haven't dealt with the pandemic, which is we collect money all year round. We go for a call for applications in April and May, and we allocate those funds in June. Well, we got our legal counsel working immediately, trying to give us a good legal opinion. What flexibility do we have with the funds that we've collected to date? And so luckily, our counsel told us that we have quite a bit of flexibility with the funds that we've already accrued. The second thing that we did on the financial front is Danny sent out an email on Sunday the 15th to everybody who received funds for fiscal year 2020. And there was about $3.4 million of funds that had been allocated that wasn't spent. There were really two questions that we asked all the applicants. The first is, what are your needs right now in COVID-19? What should Resort Tax and the community be aware of that would help you through COVID? And specifically, how are you adapting and evolving to help this community during COVID? So we asked that question. The second question was, what of the funds that we've already allocated with you can you deem non-essential and commit to return back to Resort Tax to be reallocated out to the Big Sky relief effort? And I'm just in awe of the response we got. We had $410,000 that was verbally committed to return to Resort Tax to help out on this effort. And I want to give a big shout out to those organizations that stepped up. We have the Chamber of Commerce, the Big Sky Community Organization, the Post Office, the Gallatin River Task Force, the Big Sky Community Housing Trust, Search and Rescue, Transportation District, Visit Big Sky, and Wampac, all committed to return funds that total up to $410,000. So our next action, now that we know that we had the legal standing to do some emergency allocations, and we knew that we had funds available, we had an emergency Resort Tax Board meeting on Friday the 20th. And there were two notable action items that happened at that meeting. The first was Resort Tax committed $500,000 to the Big Sky Medical Center. And then the second was the Resort Tax committed $500,000 to these other efforts for government and nonprofit entities in our community. That was quickly matched by the three community foundations. So by the end of that day, Friday, we had $2 million raised towards this effort to help Big Sky. ballpark $1 million of that to the Big Sky Medical Center and $1 million to these other needs in our community. On this last Friday, the 27th, the application process for the nonprofits and the government entities went live. So that is now live on bigskyrelief.org. We are working with the Chamber of Commerce. This is a live discussion on how can we help the small businesses. So Joe, to one of the comments or that came from one of the listeners, more to come. Candace gave a great overview of some of the federal and state programs that are out there. So we're really trying to understand those. And then we'll try to understand if there's some other role resort tax can provide for small businesses that isn't being addressed at the federal or state level. And then lastly, on the individuals, and this is really where YCCF and Lauren Bow and the team have grabbed the ball and are running with it, is setting up how do we help the individual. So Eric, that's real quickly what we've been able to muster in a short period of time on the financial end. And I'd like to let Danny talk about really the coordination and communication role that we've been trying to help the Big Sky community out during this period.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Kevin. So I really appreciate the hashtag that you've been using is Be Strong Big Sky. And in my opinion, and the ability to be able to work in coordination and help facilitate communication between all of the partners in Big Sky. Big Sky, you are strong and you have wonderful leadership behind supporting this community, and you truly are better together. Some of the things that have been happening behind the scenes is the group of coordinating partners has been meeting twice a week, and through BigSkyRelief.org, our efforts have been towards really trying to facilitate communication, understanding your needs, and bringing the partners up to speed with what needs exist and helping to bring that full force. That's being done through a variety of partners, including the Big Sky Medical Center, thanks to Taylor Rose and Jason Smith. Wonderful leadership there. Great leadership through our emergency services, Greg Meagard and the Gallatin County Sheriffs, as well with Sergeant Brandon Kelly. Sarah Gaither and the Food Bank have done a wonderful job of ramping up to meet the needs of food services within our community, and appreciate their efforts. And a huge shout out to Jean Bear as well with Women in Action. And you heard some of the work that the mental health services have been transpiring as well. Transportation's also a part of that group, the coordination group of operational partners, as well as VBS and the Chamber. So huge thanks to David Cack and Candace Carr-Strauss for participating in that group. Volunteer efforts and trails are being coordinated through BSCO. Sierra Wolf has been leading the charge on that front, and it's been great to see their work as well. Dr. Dustin Shipman has been representing the Big Sky School District and that operational partner meeting that has been happening twice a week. So you can find those notes twice a week. Those meetings are happening on Tuesdays and Fridays, and you'll find those notes on BigSkyRelief.org. There's also been resource partners meeting weekly, which include all the partners that have been spoken to earlier related to fundraising partners with Lauren Bow and YCCF, Moonlight Community Foundation, and Heather Morris and John Haas as well. In addition to the funding partners and the philanthropic support that is being brought to the table, there's also personnel and supplies through a lot of the private sector here in Big Sky. So Cross Harbor, Matt Kidd, Lone Mountain Land Company, Kevin Hinkle and the group there, YC, Yellowstone Club, Hans Williamson, and Big Sky Resort with Taylor Middleton and Troy. Thank you for your support there. And some of the examples of the ways that this group has been working is, for example, when we were standing up the website, Emily McGee with Lone Mountain Land Company was freed up for a few hours of support to be able to help us stand the website and communications up to get out to you all. Volunteers were made available for cleaning out Big Sky Medical Center through Lone Mountain Land Company, Moonlight Basin, and Suffolk Construction and Jackson Construction. And moving a new shed over there to Big Sky Medical Center was made available through some of those partners as well. What you'll find through the communication that is filtering up through BigSkyRelief.org is there's a variety of methods to stay connected. You can stay connected through all the social channels. Facebook, we've got a Facebook page with Big Sky Relief. We've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, which are all opportunities to stay connected. If you want to ask us questions, or if we're missing a need that isn't made available for pointing you in the right direction for a method of relief, you can just contact us on the website. You'll either receive a phone call directly from me or an email from one of our team to help try to provide some support. Talk to many of you here in Big Sky. Thank you for reaching out. That is an option. But we will also continue to coordinate communication as we continue to release funds and collect applications as well through the methodologies that Lauren commented on earlier today. Some normal methods of business are happening through the resort tax, through the behind the scenes as well during this time of the COVID crisis. But we do have our FY21 applications process underway. This is a year one of a multi-year process that is working on focusing our investments in a strategic way and really focused on highlighting the needs that were outlaid in the community strategic plan. We do have a new online portal for filling out applications through the Big Sky Resort Tax. And we're encouraging things like matching funds and increased collaborations and really focused on living that motto of better together and focused on really a high level of project impact. You'll see that moving forward. We do have a vote up and coming. We do have an election that is happening right at this time of need with COVID-19. So there's a 1% for infrastructure vote that you'll be seeing info sessions that are made available. We have one up and coming this week. In fact, with the Water and Sewer District, and mailers will be going out as well. One thing of note, you know, the 3% of the resort tax will be heavily challenged this year in ensuring we're delivering the highest level of impacts possible. And the 1% will be another opportunity for being able to keep the Water and Sewer District project separate from those 3% funds. So it's increasing the pie for everyone. And finally, just wanted to note that the district is finalizing our very first strategic plan, a 3-year strategic plan with 3 core priorities. So one of those is engaging our community. Hopefully you've seen a much higher level of engagement, both through this COVID-19 situation, but also as well through the past year. Strategic investments are going to be a high priority for us in ensuring that we're using your dollars in the best way possible to make sure that we're delivering a high level of impact, and then also a culture of excellence. So those are some of the things that are happening with resort tax in 2020 thus far.
Excellent. Well, you guys have had your plate full, so thank you for that. And you covered a tremendous amount of information there. So thank you, Danny. That actually gobbled up a lot of my questions. So you really crushed it. And thank you, Kevin. Joe, do you have any follow-up questions for resort tax before we kind of switch over to the group?
Yeah, do have one here. You know, Kevin, I wanted to address you for this. There have been, you know, a number of businesses and organizations using, you know, ingenuity to get by in these difficult times. You know, including the Resort Tax Board and local foundations, you know, with the relief fund. I was curious if you would be willing to, if you can share one of these positive stories about community and resilience.
So, Joe, I appreciate the question. And one of the, you know, pages that we're going to add to the bigskyRelief.org website is, you know, we want the community to share the positive stories that are happening out there, because I do hear about them and I do experience them. You know, on a personal level, you know, I have a college-age son who's home spending time with me right now. And to be honest with you, when he left my house a year and a half ago, I thought I'd get him 1 week at a time for the rest of his life. So I'm very grateful on some of the things that, I hate to say it, that this pandemic has brought into my life. Your specific question on what are the innovative business adaptations? Well, I think we've talked about this earlier, and it was really great to hear Gary Rochelle talk about, you know, is the telecommuting really going to change and become part of our way of life? I think I've learned no short of 5 different video platforms this last week. So really, we're all learning and adapting. I think that we have found that life does go on. You know, we are able to keep balls moving forward, both as a community as well as in the private business. I really do think, you know, there was a question earlier about, you know, are people being encouraged to come to Big Sky right now? And I can tell you across the board with the private businesses and the hospitality working with the hospital, initially it was, you know, we need to stop taking reservations. We need to do some things immediately. to help out our medical system. I think long-term, what you're going to see is Big Sky in Montana is going to be more desirable than ever. And I'm just very thankful that I'm here in Montana.